If you're stuck in a life situation, the only sane way to approach it, the only truly helpful way to approach it is to accept it. It doesn't mean that it's good. Like if you're in a painful situation, it doesn't mean that pain is good. It means that pain is happening. And that's just what's happening in that moment. And there's a higher power that comes in. When I say higher power, it conjures for me images of religious dogma. Like I'm down here, the lowly mortal, and there's some deity that's higher, and I need to cower and submit and feel ashamed or whatever. That's not it at all. You're calling on your own power, but it's not power over anyone or anything. Because the truth of it is there is no other one or thing. There is only that power that we call God, that we call truth. So we have to let go of our part of it. So a useful prayer could be, if you really don't know what to do, you can say, as if you're tuning into, when I say higher power, it's whatever your sense of it is, whatever your name for it is. It doesn't really matter. Basically, what you're doing is admitting to yourself that you don't know what to do. You're admitting to the universe, whatever. Notice that you're stuck and you don't know what to do. I mean, it could be that you ran out of gas out in the desert and you don't have any water. It can be very serious. It could be anything. And I'm not saying that's good. And I'm not saying it's bad. From an absolute standpoint, the situations we get ourselves in are not good or bad. They just are. And it's that moralizing feeling of, oh, this is wrong, it shouldn't be happening. Or there's something else that should be. We get involved in judgments, and that blocks that intelligence. It blocks our awareness of this higher power that can help us. So the prayer would be, I don't know what to do, please help. The not knowing what to do part is really important. You have to mean it. Or try to mean it. You don't have to do anything. No one's making anyone do anything here. This is something that can help you. I don't know what to do, please help. Now, who is it that's helping you? Don't worry about that. If you believe in some kind of what we call God, I don't mean a bearded dude up on a throne who's going to smite you. I mean some kind of benevolent, omniscient, omnipresent source of power in the sense of the ability to do things. Power is really just the ability to get yourself out of difficult situations. And when it's not difficult, the power handles everything. The Zen master Bankei was known to say, everything is perfectly managed with the unborn. And for him, the unborn was his name for God, truth. The absolute truth of who we are, he called it the unborn. Sometimes called the unborn Buddha mind. Buddha just means awake. So that mind that's awake, that consciousness, that's what helps us when we can get out of the way. So the prayer is an intuition that at least may be true, that there's a higher power that can just handle stuff for us, that it's not separate from us. The term higher could mean all-encompassing, or in some sense all-knowing. It's just reality. It is the very essence of all things. And when we allow it to function in our lives, it helps us. It takes care of things for us. The Taoists called it the Tao. So embodying the Tao means, in some sense, knowing that you don't know and trusting and letting go. Embody the Tao, embody not knowing. Why do we want to embody not knowing? Because we don't know. In our minds, we don't know. It's in those situations where we get stuck and don't know what to do that we get paralyzed with fear. And a lot of human behavior is caught up in this notion that if we don't appear like we know what we're doing, then people won't trust us, or they won't love us, or they'll shun us, or whatever that is. If I admit my own ignorance, that I'm going to be laughed at, made fun of, marginalized. Not knowing is strength. Vulnerability is strength. Why? Because we are vulnerable and because we don't know. That's the brilliance of it. We admit the truth. We let go a little bit, and that's when it comes in. It's a higher power. It is everything. It handles things perfectly. It's handling them now, we just don't realize it. When Zen Master Bankei says everything is perfectly managed with the unborn, it means trust and allow that. We have to get out of the way. So what is happening should be happening because it is. It doesn't matter how complicated our situation is. It doesn't matter how dire it seems. Because in that moment that we're suffering from it, that's what it is. You have to start with what is. It's the only place to find sanity. It's just reality. Admitting that we don't know what to do, that our efforts to correct the situation perhaps have only made it worse. We can't see a way out. That's pretty typically where we turn to prayer to try to help us. A conventional prayer might be like if there's a lack in our finances, the prayer could be like, oh God, give me some money, something like that. That's just an effort to control the uncontrollable. It's more ego. Ego is always some kind of grasping, controlling sort of tendency. So we want that to be noticed and surrendered. Why? Because it doesn't work. Not because it's good or bad, because it'll just make it worse. The fact is we don't know what's best for us. Not really. Most of the time we can sort of tell what we need or what needs to happen next. Like, oh, I'm hungry, I think I'll have a sandwich. Great. I'm tired, I need to go to sleep. Great. In those situations, everything is being managed for us. The stars are where they need to be. The planets are doing exactly what they need to be doing. All of that. Our heart is beating. We're breathing. We're being breathed. In times like that, we just kind of put it on autopilot. The problem with going on autopilot, or just letting things take their course, is if we're not awake in that, if we don't really notice what's going on, then problems pile up. I've noticed when I'm going through my day, I'm really curious about things. Everything becomes a miracle if I just attend to it without judgment. It's like that Zen saying, my supernatural power and miraculous activity, chopping wood and carrying water. What we suffer from is the unobserved mind. When we observe it, it's really interesting. It'll resist things, and if we don't resist what the mind does, it just lets go. The problem is, what ego does is the mind will have some form of, this shouldn't be happening, this isn't okay. When the fact is, whatever is happening is okay in the sense that it should be happening because it's happening. And again, it doesn't mean it's functional, it doesn't mean it's healthy, it doesn't mean it's good or bad. It could be a catastrophe on an external, apparent level, like the sink springs a leak or something like that, and it starts flooding the kitchen. Oh, interesting. And in that moment that it's interesting, we take action on it. And we're not adding to the stress. We're not creating confusion. We're just taking care of the problem. That's always more useful than fighting it. So what the mind tends to do is think, oh, this is bad, which is a form of saying it shouldn't be happening. There's what's happening, but we're imagining there's some other utopian thing somewhere that should be happening. I guess it's where, I don't know, the sink isn't leaking. We're living in that. Abstraction, moralization. They call it playing God, trying to tell this perfection that's unfolding how it should be when it's not that way. And it's always an argument that we'll lose. As the teacher Byron Katie says, when I argue with reality, I lose, but only 100% of the time. So the kitchen sink springs a leak. We think, oh, this is bad. It shouldn't happen. Chaos is bad. We're just saying that what's happening shouldn't be happening. We feel anxiety. Then there's a part of us that thinks, oh no, I'm anxious. That shouldn't be happening. Oh wait, now we get into this ball of tension, this cycle where we're just paralyzed by fear and anxiety. And usually we can let go of some of that and just get the thing done. But then we live in this tension bubble of judgment, of how things shouldn't be the way they are. And we think everything's messed up when really it's just our thinking about it. So if we can notice that that's happening, again, there's layers to it. So the top layer is some kind of judgment. And it's usually judgment about a judgment about a judgment. And it goes way back. The problem with these judgments is they accumulate. So it would be like putting on excessive body weight. It could be like having piles and piles of hoarded items in your house. The mind material, the old thoughts and beliefs that we've hidden and suppressed, those build up and become intolerable. And it's harder to think clearly because our mind is so full of thoughts. It's like a sky full of clouds where we really can't see the sun and we think all is lost. All we can really do is first notice that that's happening. And that's when the sun comes in. It's beauty. That is so interesting. Clouds are interesting. That's when they start to dissolve. So in a way, what we're doing is we're dissolving our mind. We're dissolving what Eckhart Tolle calls the pain body. It's the past judgments and suffering and pain that have built up over many years and that have built this kind of thick and encrusted identity that feels heavy. We may not notice it when we're young, but it tends to build up over time. And as we get older, we just kind of get weighed down with it. You can see that in older people sometimes. If they haven't really done this work, then sometimes older people can just seem really burdened, maybe depressed. There's less aliveness. And it's not just the aging process. It's a mind that is heavy with memories of unexpressed fears, unobserved thoughts, really. And it's sad. That's a sad situation. We can have compassion for people who suffer. And again, that's what is in that moment. If we're going to help anyone, whether it's ourselves or someone else, the first step is to see what's there and admit it and to be honest about it. It would be like an EMT who's trained. Most of us, if we came upon a scene of a car accident and saw someone with arterial bleeding or their body's broken and there's something horrific going on, we don't know what to do with that. And we perhaps recoil in fear or feel paralyzed because we're not trained to deal with that. And it seems horrific because we're just not accustomed to it. But an EMT is trained to come in there, an emergency medicine professional comes in there and is trained to deal with that. And what they have to do is very quickly and realistically assess the damage, take measurements, blood pressure, heart rate, temperature, things like that, without any kind of judgment at all. It's not whether it's good or bad. Any judgments about good or bad get in the way. Because if the judgments overwhelm us, we just get paralyzed by something like that, and we can't act. So our surgeons, emergency medical personnel are trained to set the emotion aside, set the judgments aside. We're watching this show, The Pit, that's very popular right now. Someone comes in with a severed leg. There's a horrible accident at a water park where the slide had collapsed and someone fell from a height onto a steel fence and their leg had been severed. And they come in on a helicopter and the young medical student is standing there with the attending physician. And they just hand him a severed leg in a plastic bag. It's all bloody. And the look on his face is shock, like, whoa, this is real. This is happening. And all they want to do is help this person. They want to sew the leg back on. They want to restore their function. And it needs to happen very quickly. And put the leg on ice, clean it up with saline, wash out the wound, all that stuff. Consult the surgeon, who's kind of a jerk, actually. The orthopedic surgeon who comes down. He's very terse, and he just doesn't care. He's seen it all. He's just kind of above it all, but he's probably a very good surgeon. I think doctors can be maybe a bit too detached, a bit too feeling avoidant, perhaps. But the basic idea is that doctors, especially personnel in emergency medicine, have to be super focused on what needs to get done. So give me the data, take the measurements, we'll deal with the emotions later. When we're dealing with our own situation, it's kind of like that. It's just love. We let go of our ideas about what should be happening. We're just present and love just flows. And you'll say things, do things, your hands will move. It'll just happen to help. Again, everything is perfectly managed with the unborn. The unborn being reality before you can think about it. The thoughts arise, but we're already present. We're present for the thoughts. If we don't need thoughts, thoughts don't arise. If we need them, they arise and then we use them. So the question, what do I do? I'm stuck. These teachings may seem, as it says in the Tao Te Ching, these teachings may seem lofty and impractical. They are far from it. We have to use them to see how they work. And the main thing is just to admit what we feel, admit what we are experiencing, and the shortcut, if you will, the shortcut to consciousness is what is should be because it is. So what's happening is just what's happening. And it's always happening, whatever it is, and it changes. So if there's such a thing as God's will, it's just what's happening right now. And I want that because it is. And in that wanting, there's no desire because the desire is satisfied before it can exist. I don't want to be sitting here. I am sitting here. If I think about wanting to sit here, it separates me slightly from the reality of it. So it's uncomfortable. I don't have to want that. It already is. In that space of not knowing, meaning I don't know what to do, I'm surrendered to the unborn. It's managing everything. God's taking care of everything. Trust that. I've learned to trust it. In the Tao Te Ching, it says, it talks about the Tao like a master carpenter. And it says when we try to use the master carpenter's tools, like when we try to take them and use them ourselves with our own limited thinking, chances are we'll cut our hand. It's the thinking mind as it translates into a false identity that is based on controlling the uncontrollable, that creates chaos and fear and uncertainty. And since we don't know any better, we usually just double down on that. Like, oh, I don't know what I'm doing, and it's my mind is uncertain, and I'm just going to repress that and then just hallucinate. It's not a happy place to be. That's basically the world. The world is like a big AI hallucination because we don't know what we're doing and everybody's filling in the spaces where they don't know. And it's wrong. Wrong not as in morally wrong exactly. It's more like we can't know what anything is with our mind, and yet that's what everyone believes. Like there's no such thing as a perfect circle. Literally, no one's ever seen a perfect circle anywhere. It's a mathematical idea, but it doesn't exist in nature. It's always going to be slightly imperfect. Damn it. Everything's like that. We want it to be perfect. Nothing's perfect. I want to be perfect. You're not. I want to know what's going on. You won't. I want to make it. You can't. Why? Because it already is, and it's not the mind. The mind is a tool that we can use. It's a vessel. It's a chalice that we use to share. That's all it is. It's empty. Again, a chalice is like a fancy cup. We pour the wine into it and share it. By itself, it's not important. It's what we can put into it. So when we're, in a sense, empty of self, the sharing is like the communion of wine. That's part of that ritual, is not to get wasted, but it's like a taste of bliss or a taste of that nectar of immortality. That's what that symbolizes. It's only there when we're not, as that separate self, because it's an illusion. And so if we find that there's this obnoxious self that we don't know what to do with, study it. Notice, like, that's interesting. Wow, look at that. The part of it that's noticing is not judging. If you suspend judgment, you're just noticing it, and it dissolves. It relaxes. It balances. It manages. It's letting go that does that. Everything is perfectly managed with the unborn, the unmanifest, the unknowable. Trust it. The mind doesn't want to trust. It wants to know what's next. You cannot know what's next. You can guess. We don't know. An asteroid could come crashing through the ceiling any moment. There's no control. Utterly surrendered to not knowing. And that makes it fun. It's very interesting. Again, there's this part. I can feel it. It comes up. Oh, I'm scared. That's scary. What do I do? What do I do? I. What is that? We look at it. If we look at it just directly without judgment, with that unborn, with that unconditional awareness, we're not judging it. We're just noticing. Just noticing. We're a noticing being. As the author and psychologist Brad Blanton says, we are noticing beings. We tend to get lost in judgments, but we are here to notice. Noticing doesn't require judgment. It's a function of awareness. Just notice. It's beautiful. And then the judgments that come up, those are beautiful too if we just notice them. The thing is, we usually judge them. So we judge the judgments, and it builds. And it's a tower of crap. And it smothers us. That's kind of hard to see. I can imagine someone watching this thinking, man, this sounds horrible. It is. Until we notice, oh, what is that? Who am I? Without the judgment.